Good morning, happy Sunday. I am recapping on our style personalities framework. So I won't rerun in full, but just as a very quick recap, we have developed and use on our website a framework around style personalities. It's a way to help you to understand how to put together a cohesive outfit that really represents you as a person. So there are 5 style personalities that we talk about. We talk about Classic Minimalist, the Edgy Outfitter, the Modern Romantic, La Parisienne, and the Eclectic Maximalist. Really helps you to sort of think about what you're buying, how you're shopping, how you're putting outfits together that really reflect you and your personality. We've had lots of new customers and lots of new followers and people within our community since the start of the year. Lots of you have been asking me to kind of recap. I allude to it in pretty much all of my lives, but I thought it was a really good time to recap. And also, at the start of the year, I was talking about these personalities in the context of our sort of autumn-winter collection. And I thought it would be useful to talk about how you employ this framework for spring-summer and kind of holiday wear, warm weather wear, whatever you want to call it as well. So that was the purpose of last week. Today, I'm going to really zone in on the first of those style personalities, so the Classic Minimalist. And I'm going to be talking all about what is this style personality, what are the key pieces within the wardrobe for this style personality, a few examples of icons. I'm going to talk you through what you do if you really feel that this is you, what you can do to then edit your wardrobe and really kind of refine your look around this style personality. But then I'm also going to talk in detail about the pitfalls and how to avoid them. So I'll be talking about kind of how to put outfits together that feel classic and minimalist, but also feel interesting and feel like you. And then finally, I'll talk about, because I know lots of you feel like you've got a foot in kind of multiple camps, in multiple style personalities. I'll talk about how you work other style personalities with the Classic Minimalist look as well. Right, okay, so what is Classic Minimalist style? The Classic Minimalist is all about kind of timeless minimalism. So it's timeless outfits, clean lines, simplicity, so this whole less is more approach. You won't feel the classic, or you won't see the Classic Minimalist sort of embracing a lot of colour and a lot of pattern necessarily, or a lot of frill and detail. It's all about simplicity. It's a really great style personality in many ways because it embraces the staples, those pieces that A, will live in your wardrobe and will never feel dated, and B, are super versatile. So it's got lots of kind of room. So while it's quite simple, actually you can be quite creative with it, and it can create lots of different outfits. So colour palettes tend to be quite simple, sticking to neutrals and monochromes. Very little print, although there is some print within that, and there are definitely ways to incorporate print. Lines are quite clean, quite architectural. So when you're thinking about other brands, think about someone like COS, who do this brilliantly. You will go into a COS store, you won't see an awful lot of print. You'll see lots of pieces that you can wear in lots of different ways, but that are all quite kind of classic and simple and clean, but interesting. And that's the key that I'm going to talk about, is how you keep this feeling interesting. Style icons, so think about people like Gwyneth Paltrow, Laura Harrier, Caroline Kennedy. So it can also feel very chic as well. If you feel that this is, having listened to this is your style personality, how do you really embrace this? So what I would say is start off with Pinterest, search with, or Instagram, search with terms like classic style, timeless style, simple style, minimalist style. See what comes up, and then I would say pin all of those looks that really appeal to you. Not every look within this style personality or within these searches will appeal to you, And it is all about making this your own. What I'm not suggesting through this framework is a kind of cookie cutter approach where we all start to look the same and label ourselves a classic minimalist or an edgy outfitter. But start to think about within this style personality, what really appeals to you, what speaks to your own personal sense of style and how you want to show up in the world. Collect that all together into a bit of a mood board, and then look in your wardrobe and edit out the pieces that you feel don't fit within that. I feel quite often, as we're sort of refining our style, our wardrobes really throw us, and our attachment to pieces in our wardrobes can really throw us and make it, and stop us being clear about putting outfits together. So I would say do a wardrobe detox, pull out those pieces that don't fit, give them to someone like Give Your Best, our wonderful not-for-profit partners who take donations of clothing and give them to people living in clothing poverty, or allow people in clothing poverty to shop them for free, put them on Vinted, whatever. Anyway, but do that wardrobe detox, and then hopefully you will end up with a wardrobe that is more refined and easier to build around this style. Hopefully that makes sense so far. Right, and then we need to think about the gaps. So I would say the absolute staples for this style personality, and if you don't have these in your wardrobe, I think these are the really key gaps that you need to fill. Number one, a white t-shirt. It seems really simple, but the number of people I talk to who don't have that perfect white t-shirt, I would say this is my most worn, most useful item in my wardrobe. Just a really classic white t-shirt. It doesn't have to be, this is the boyfriend t-shirt, the perfect boyfriend t-shirt. If that's not your style, we do lots of different styles. We do this, which is the neat fit, which we do in the plain. Obviously I've got the slogan, the noir version on today, but we do this in the plain. We do the roll sleeve t-shirt, which is more of a scoop neck. So go and have a look at the t-shirts, but a plain, classic white t-shirt. With all of these pieces, I would say, if they are your wardrobe staples, really invest, spend as much as is comfortable for you on these pieces to get the best quality, because they're going to be part of all of your outfits. They're going to live in your wardrobe for years and years. So it's worth buying quality. I feel like it's a false investment. Obviously you can get a white t-shirt from Primark or Tesco or wherever, but I feel like it's a bit of a false investment if you just go and grab that, because you'll end up having to rebuy it in another couple of months because it will go frilly in the wash, it will fade, it won't hold its shape. So invest in really good quality basics. So number one, the perfect white t-shirt for you. I'm going to talk about this in the context of summer. Obviously there are those basics that work right the way through the year. So I would say another key piece for summer is just the simple dress. I've chosen the simple black dress. You might not be someone who loves black, in which case you could go for the simple navy dress, for example, or the simple grey dress. But basically, basically choose a simple dress that you will wear on repeat for multiple occasions that is as simple, I would say, as you can make it, because the more simple it is, the more versatile it will be, I would say. This is our Izzy rib dress, so we do it in multiple colours, we do it in stripes, it's coming back in chocolate. But I would say the reason people love these is because they are so versatile and they are such a wardrobe staple. So that's number two. I would then say the year-round shirt. So this is our perfect shirt. We also do this in white. This is the cornflower blue, but a really simple shirt. This is a really lovely brushed cotton. It's a slightly oversized fit without being sort of too voluminous, and we sort of do oversize. I'll talk about that in a little while, but just a classic simple cut white shirt. The reason we love this is because while it is very simple, it's got really thoughtful details. So it's got the deeper cuffs, it's got the gently curved hem, you've got the side splits, you've got the collar that pops, you've got a carefully placed pocket. It's not so slim fitting that it feels too work shirty. It can be worn in lots of different ways. So as I say, also in white, but go for that classic shirt. You will wear it in lots of different ways. For example, and I'll talk about outfits later, you will wear this with your classic jeans, but you might also wear this over your perfect, simple navy blue dress. You might wear it with shorts. So the simple shirt has got lots of outfit power. Then I would say for an absolute staple for spring summer is a classic pair of linen trousers. You can go, there are obviously lots of different styles. You can go for more straight fit, you can go for elasticated waist. These are our layer linen trousers, so they're 100% linen, and I would say again, as with all of these staple pieces, go for a really good quality fabric. So 100% linen, a really beautiful quality. You've got that lovely kind of texture in there that you get with linen, which I think immediately adds that sort of authenticity and sort of natural feel. But go for a pair of linen trousers in a neutral colour, so in a lovely sort of sandy beige like these. The reason I love these and the reason I think these work so well is because they really can be dressed up and down. So I would wear these with my simple white t-shirt and a pair of trainers or a pair of white Birkenstocks, just to be sort of dressed down. But I would also wear them with our shirts and sort of smarter shoes, maybe brogues, for work. So I think they're an absolute staple. And again, quite simple, classic, clean. Right, number 5, a really good pair of jeans. So these are our Sarah straight leg jeans, which I've pulled out because they are our most classic style, but we do lots of different styles of jeans. We do more of a boyfriend jean fit, and we do a barrel leg. So find the perfect pair of jeans. So these are the ones that tend to fit most bodies because they've got that elastane in them, they've got a little bit of stretch, and they're that really classic straight leg fit. So again, jean styles come and go, but I would say a classic straight leg will never feel dated. It has that timeless look and that timeless feel that you really want to kind of embrace as part of this style personality. Next up, a blazer. Again, I feel a blazer is super important for, I would say for all style personalities, but particularly for this one. Again, go for something timeless. So this is our Bettine blazer. This is the kind of spring summer option. So a linen viscose blend, a really clean classic cut. So again, you can get blazers that aren't necessarily classic minimalist. There might be lots of detail, there might be more going on, but this one we love because it's a nice longer line fit, a really clean cut. We've taken as much detail off as possible. It's that whole kind of Coco Chanel thing where actually take the detail off, take the accessories off. So we've even taken the button off to keep it as clean and classic as possible. So this is the Bettine oversized blazer. This, if you want the more casual option, is the Benedict jersey blazer. So the same cut as Bettine, but it's a size smaller. So this is a slightly neater fit in this really lovely jersey ponte fabric. So feels a little bit more kind of casual, and you can wear it in lots of different ways, but both super versatile. So classic blazer, then 3 more pieces within your kind of capsule wardrobe. I would say the vest. This is our Maya rib vest. Again, Thursday's the day. If you can't see your size in these, they are back in stock in all of the colours on Thursday. But we do lots of different colours in these. We do grey, we do a stripe, we do black, we do red. Super versatile, that's the red. Super versatile, and again, this you could wear dressed up, you could wear it dressed down, but I really feel like this is one of those building blocks of your summer capsule wardrobe if you are a classic minimalist. But even if you're not, I would say it works into all of the personalities. A knit, a really classic summer knit. So I've gone for a stripe. This is our Camille crew neck. It has a touch of cashmere, so again, sort of building in the best yarns that we can. It's cashmere cotton, so nice and breathable, an absolute staple for summer. But I would say a classic knit in a really classic cut, but with those thoughtful details. So you've got the little side splits here, a beautiful yarn, a really lovely sort of classic crew neck. but a little bit of interest in the stripe, but you could also go for a plain. And then I would say a sweatshirt, so you could go for a plain sweatshirt. I've just pulled out the Wee Non, which I think is a really kind of classic minimalist print on a regular sweatshirt. So again, beautiful quality fabric. This is 85% organic cotton, 15% recycled poly, and it's the poly that kind of gives it the sort of drape and the sort of softer hand feel. But a classic sweatshirt. So they would, I would say, would be your absolute sort of staples, the building blocks, and the gaps to fill in your wardrobe if you can't see them in your wardrobe, because they'll give you so many different outfit options, and they'll give you that basis upon which then to start building. So I would say most of the outfits that I pull together involve at least one of those pieces. Right, so the pitfalls. Number one, so quite often when I talk about the classic minimalist style personality, people feel like you need to have a certain lifestyle to embrace this. You need to be working in an office. You need to be wearing tailoring. And I would say it's absolutely not about that. So I would say this style personality can fit within lots of different wardrobes and within lots of different lifestyles. And quite often when I talk to customers and they've lost their sense of style and they feel confused, and they used to know what to wear to feel good and now they don't, quite often it's either because their bodies have changed or because their lifestyle has changed. So you may have been someone that used to work in an office and was, you knew that kind of classic office look that you could embrace, but actually in your kind of casual wear, you may not be working so much in an office anymore, and you don't quite know how to sort of achieve that put together look in your casual. But I would say it's not about lifestyle, so you can absolutely capture that kind of classic minimalist aesthetic in pieces that are more casual and more comfortable. So for example, the sweatshirt that I've just pulled out, this with a simple pair of jeans can absolutely, and a simple pair of white trainers can absolutely achieve that classic minimalist look. So think about, if your lifestyle is not that kind of formal, not one that needs that kind of formal tailored wear, think about embracing softer fabrics. So again, this is the saffron side stripe trouser, a lovely ponte, really clean classic cut, but you've got the kind of pin tuck down the front. You've got the flat front, you've got the elasticated waist at the back, and you've got the very simple stripe down the side, but they're a really clean, simple, classic straight leg cut. Absolutely in line with this style personality, very minimal. They won't date, they won't go out of style, but they effectively act like a jogger. So because they're in this gorgeous jersey ponte, and they have the elasticated waist, they are super comfy as just everyday. That and say the simple Maya Rib vest or a boyfriend t-shirt will absolutely encapsulate this style personality. Equally, if you want to feel a little bit smarter, you could add the Bettine blazer, which is in the same fabric. So these together, if you kind of like the idea of a suit, but you don't, you're sort of running around with the kids and you still want to wear trainers and you want to wear a vest, but you kind of want to feel a bit smarter, this works as that sort of easy suit because it's in this jersey. So it's effectively like wearing kind of joggers and a sweatshirt, but in suit form. So think about, if you feel like this doesn't suit your lifestyle, think about choosing fabrics that are a bit more durable and a bit less structured and a bit less formal, and you can absolutely take the classic minimalist look into a day lounging on the sofa or a day working from home. Equally, you might say, well, I love the idea of linen, but I don't want to go for a sort of more formal linen trouser. Something like the Lottie shorts, for example, which are a lovely viscose linen, really durable, really easy to wear. Because they've got this viscose in them, you don't need to worry about creasing in the way that you would with 100% linen. So, but as I say, think again about fabrics. If you go for something in the viscose linen, then you know these are really easy to wear either more formally with their matching shirt, or you can wear them just running around with a simple white t-shirt. These are cut on the A-line, so because they're cut in a more A-line way, you've got that gap between the outside of shorts and your leg, which is a really important thing to look for in shorts. You've also got a really sort of gentle split, but you're not going too high, but it just makes them sort of move more easily, and then you've got the fully elasticated waist. So we're kind of doing that combination of fit and comfort with these ones. And they come, which I haven't got here, with a matching shirt as well for that co-ord. But again, a really easy way to kind of bring some linen into your look, stick with that classic style, but in a way that is comfortable, and you can wear these for absolutely everything. So that would be what I'd say about lifestyle. Think about think about fabric, think about easier cuts, elasticated waistbands, and you can absolutely embrace the classic minimalist aesthetic as part of a more relaxed, well, maybe not more relaxed, but a less formal lifestyle, a non-work environment, a non-office environment. Right, pitfall number 2, looking outdated or dull. So I would say definitely want to think about when you're embracing this style personality. What we don't want is this kind of cookie cutter approach. We still want to feel like we're us, like we've injected a little bit of personality, we've injected a little bit of confidence into this. So, for example, I could go for our layer linen trousers, and I could go for something like a really basic, tight-fitting white shirt. We haven't got one because we don't, we want kind of our pieces to have sort of more contemporary cuts. But I would say potentially that if I wore that just tucked in with a pair of brogues, I would feel classic and I would feel timeless, but not particularly with a lot of personality in my look. So when you're thinking about this, thinking about ways to kind of add a little bit more personality now. So something like the Blake broderie shirt, a really classic cut, so it's not fussy, it's not frilly, really classic clean lines with the trim in this lovely crisp cotton poplin that we do lots of, but I've made it more interesting because it's in this geometric broderie. If this were a floral broderie, it would start to feel less classic and a little bit more girly and a little bit more feminine, but because this broderie is more of a geometric style, it stays within this whole kind of classic feel. So if I went for that as a combination, it's immediately feeling like it's a little bit more interesting. So think about introducing texture. Number 2, so while I would say this isn't necessarily a style personality that's full of colour, you can definitely introduce colour into this if you do so cleverly. So again, sticking with the layer linen trousers, I might want to add the perfect roll sleeve t-shirt in red. I would say red definitely works in a similar way to a neutral, in that even though it's obviously bright and impactful, if you team it with neutrals, it will work with pretty much all of them. I would say the only colour I wouldn't necessarily team this with without doing something else with it is black. So I wouldn't necessarily go for red and black unless I added something else in, like a white jumper over the top, for example. Then I think it would work. There's something about red and black that just feels a little bit 80s if it's just the two of them together. That would be my view. And you want to keep this look feeling modern. But absolutely red and the sort of sandy beige would work. And I've kept the rest of my look clean. If I'm doing this, if I'm using colour to inject a bit of personality into my look, I'd just do that with one piece and I'd keep the rest of my look really neutral and really pared back. And in that way, you're not then sort of edging into the sort of more maximalist style. You're keeping it timeless, you're keeping it simple, but you're just adding a little bit of personality through colour. Similarly, you could go for unexpected colours, so taking the classic shirt, the perfect shirt, but in a brown. So you're still sticking with classic simple cuts, but you're taking a colour that might feel a little bit more modern or a bit more unexpected. So this is our perfect shirt. Exactly the same cut as the cornflower, and that we also do in the white, but it's in the cotton poplin, and it's also in this gorgeous chocolate brown, which feels very on trend. So again, those two together, I've moved away from the more classic combination of beige and white. I've kept it timeless, but I've added an interesting colour, a bit of personality that way. So while I would say this style personality doesn't embrace a lot of print, I think stripe doesn't count. So looking at our sandrine shirt dress, this is gorgeous linen viscose shirt dress for summer, in a really classic blue, but I've also incorporated a stripe. The lines are very clean, the lines are very simple, so it's kind of embracing that shirt dress feel. But I've added interest in a little bit of print, but in a stripe. This is so lovely for now. I've been wearing mine a lot. It comes with a belt, but you can wear it with your own belt, or you can wear it really loose. I love the simplicity of it, but it also feels very chic and really kind of light and airy, so perfect for these kind of muggy days that we're having here in the UK. And then you could also introduce a bit of personality with clever detail. So this is probably on the more sort of feminine end of classic, but I would still say quite classic. This is the Tegan twist front dress, but we've kept it very simple, barring the sleeve, and then we've added interest with the twist front. But other than that, a really sort of classic simple dress. So look for pieces that are kind of classic, but just have a little tiny bit of interest in them. So that would be my kind of thinking. Think about introducing texture, subtle prints, clever little pops of colour, and particularly stripes. Right, so pitfall number 3 is that it can feel impersonal and like everybody else. So what you want to avoid is feeling like you're not adding that personality, you feel like everyone else. Okay, so think about how you wear things, not just what you wear. You can play with proportions. So this is our Olivia oversized shirt, now back in stock. The Olivia oversized shirt, so really clean classic lines. But you've got the oversized fit, and you've got this really sort of interesting dip hem, oversized back with the vents. So you can embrace simplicity, but you can also incorporate elements like the twist front, but also the oversized feel. This, if I was keeping it completely classic, I would wear it with something like the Sarah straight leg jeans, so something a bit neater on the bottom. But if I want to stick with the kind of classic clean lines, but add a bit more personality, I could go oversized and oversized. So these are the summer wide leg trousers. A really good example of classic but interesting. So we've taken a classic cotton summer trouser, but we've given it an extreme, a more extreme wide leg fit. What you could do if you were wearing these two together is sort of add in a little pop of a little sort of interesting bag. So you've kind of kept the lines quite sort of clean and simple, but you've added personality because it's oversized, and then you might add in like a leopard print bag, say, just to sort of break up the colour. Similarly, you could go, so we do the summer trousers in black as well, and you could go for the really simple sage shell top in the cotton poplin. So you've got your interest in the oversized fit of the trouser, but you're still classic and it's still quite sort of pared back and minimalist. So I would say, again, a really good way to sort of embrace this style personality, but without feeling too cookie cutter and to wearing the same thing that everybody else is wearing, is think about breaking style rules. So for example, navy and black. I know traditionally we feel like they shouldn't be worn together, But I think if you take a simple navy piece and a simple black piece, so for example the navy Drew dip hem skirt, which is coming back in July, and the sage shell top in black, I think that would be a really lovely way of mixing up this look, adding some interest but still keeping it clean and simple. So think about navy and black as a combo, or you could go for the navy with the Margot Milano waistcoat. I would also say think about wearing pieces in slightly sort of more unexpected ways. So taking the Margot Milano waistcoat, if I were to wear our simple Sarah straight leg jeans and the Bettine blazer, for example, a really sort of simple classic way of wearing this would be just a white t-shirt underneath. But actually what I could do is I could take Margot, which you'd more sort of expect it to wear over things or on its own, and I could pop Margot underneath. So I'm layering, which is also another really good way of adding interest, but I'm also wearing a knitted waistcoat in a way that you wouldn't necessarily expect. And I think again, I've sort of taken those classic pieces, I've kept everything simple, but I've just added a bit of a sort of unexpected element. So think about that, and that's also a really good way of getting more from your wardrobe as well. Right. Finally, what I want to talk about is other style personalities, because I know when I talk to lots of you feel like you're mainly a classic minimalist, but also a little bit of an edgy outfitter, or mainly a classic minimalist, but also a little bit of La Parisienne because you like the sort of French feel of things. So you can absolutely, and this is where it gets more fun and gets more creative, is sort of combine the style personalities. So you could do that in individual pieces. So something like the Blake broderie dress, really lovely, simple, clean dress. Again, sort of that simple cotton poplin, lovely, crisp, clean cotton poplin. Simple lines. So the cut of this is very classic. But I would say we've made it more feminine because we've introduced the broderie throughout. And then you've got a little bit of more kind of volume in the skirt as well. So you can, if you feel like you're a classic feminist, but you also like those feminine elements, classic minimalist, but you like those feminine elements, then look for that within a piece like the Brooke broderie dress. And then again, if you like sort of simple classic style, but you also quite like a little bit of an edge in your look, then something like the Piper cargos, again a really good piece for this, because you could keep that really simple with boyfriend t-shirt, for example, or with the noir t-shirt, which is what I'm wearing. And because there's a little bit of edge going on, and you've got the pockets, you've got that pocket detail, but we've kept them otherwise quite classic and quite sort of pared back, then I think they would absolutely work if you like that little bit of edge, but you still want your look to feel more minimal. Right, so I hope that helps. So a quick recap: classic minimalist style, keeping things simple, pared back, timeless. Think about icons like Gwyneth Paltrow and Caroline Kennedy. Look in your wardrobe. If you feel like you want to embrace this personality, detox your wardrobe, pull out those frills and those sort of bright colours that you don't necessarily wear anymore. Build that core wardrobe, those foundations, that capsule collection that you'll wear with everything, and work in lots of different ways. But the pitfalls that you want to try to avoid are: number one, don't feel like it has to be all formal pieces and sort of tailored pieces. You can absolutely work this into a more casual look. Avoid looking outdated or dull by introducing things like texture or clever pops of colour, subtle prints. Avoid feeling impersonal and like everybody else by breaking the style rules, wearing things in slightly different ways, incorporating more modern cuts like the kind of oversized cut, and thinking about how you accessorize cleverly with one interesting piece. And then looking at how you combine it with style personalities to get a bit more creative. So I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you all have a lovely rest of the day. Any questions or comments, just pop them in the comments box or DM me and I'll come back to you. All right, take care. Bye bye.